Okay, we're rolling. So I kind of asked this question as a bit of a. Do you know when you just stop caring about how you look like during these like lockdown situations? But my hair is just getting like. And I was like, should I shave it off? But it's cold outside, you know. And so I did it with the clippers. It doesn't look right. So no, I just left it. I'm just like, whatever. You know, I really don't care anymore. But yeah, here we go. So what I did is I put up a thing. I put, help please, give me 5 ways to lose weight after Christmas. So I thought I'd cover it. So it was a bit of a honey trap, bit not, but I've done these things before, and so what, you know. And I thought I'd cover it, but what I'm going to do is kind of go through a couple of the answers and give my take on them, or based on my experience of working with, quite frankly, thousands of people over the last, what is nearly a decade, and you can tell that based on the fact that I've aged, which is really kind of a bit shit in some ways. Anyway, so here we go. So I'm just going to go through some of the comments and just kind of make my takes on it, and actually give the 5 ways that I would say are most effective to losing weight after Christmas. And they're probably not actually what you think they're going to be. And I'll tell you why that is, right? In the industry of weight loss, and by the way, weight loss is the #1 personal goal around globally. Yeah, the most important personal goal. Well above like being financially free or paying off a mortgage or, you know, having a dream car or whatever it is, or starting a family. Weight loss is amazing, isn't it? So what these companies do is they tell you what they think you want to hear, and in most cases you do. So it's like, you can eat this and this, which is going to taste great, and you're going to lose weight, and there's no restrictions, etc., and so on, right? And you're like, ooh, that sounds enticing, I'll give that a go, you know, and so on. So actually it's kind of crap. So what they're doing is selling you what they want you to hear, and then once you've bought it, they tell you what you need. And there's often a huge disparity between the two, and that's why those things don't work. Quite frankly, I think it's fraudulent, but there we go. That's just me. So I'll have a look at this. Let me just pump this into here and go for it. So I had one here. So drink gin, eat cucumber for the next 6 weeks. Well, you probably would lose weight. You'd probably lose a lot of other things as well. I would imagine your sanity. Probably relationships break down. You probably have terrible sleep, and so how would that affect you after Christmas? I don't think it'd be particularly positive, to be honest. Decent one here actually. Increase daily step count. Yes, I would agree with that. However, and I'm going to mention this a few times, these things need to be quantified, right? So what I mean by that is, you know, whether you've just got one of these phones, right, that can measure your steps or whatever it is, increase daily step count. From what to what? Now, if you walk, let's say, 4,000 steps a day and you want to increase it to 6,000, okay, well, you've kind of worked out you've increased it by 50%. Fair enough. But is it actually going to make any difference? And what if you hate doing it? If you hate doing it, well, then why would you do it? Wouldn't it be better to go, well, actually, I won't put any expectations on that, and I'll just do something I enjoy doing, which is I'll go for a walk or something. I mean, for me, I bought a bike, right, the one behind, and the reason I did that is I don't like running. I can't do it for very, very long, and walking, the scenery just doesn't change fast enough, so I got a bike. So my daily step count is like nothing, really, but I might cycle 5-6 miles every other day or whatever, but I don't like go, oh, I must do it every single day and I must do at least 5 miles or 20 kilometers or whatever. That's unrealistic. So for me, it's more about consistency of just going, I need to do it, you know, and I'll do it when I feel like doing it. So sometimes I might go out at 6 p.m. and do it. Sometimes I might do it at 8 a.m. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. Might do it twice. It doesn't matter to me. And later on this evening, as I record this now at about 7:30, I will, after this, I probably will go and cycle to the shop. I need to get some milk, rice milk. There's a new Lidl that's open, a small one. And a few other bits as well. Basically I go on Sunday evening because the veg is cheap. That's the other thing. But resistance training, paying attention to compound movements. Compound movements are when you move lots of muscles at the same time. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. It's not a bad thing to be doing. However, for a lot of people it's really difficult and they struggle. They massively struggle with that. Next one, on the increase nutritional density of the foods that you eat. I would completely agree with that. Nutritional density is not something that I've talked about before, and I'm not going to go into detail on this. But really what we're talking about, when we talk about nutritional density, we're talking about foods which are low in calories and high in nutrients. So examples of that would be things like vegetables, right? So they've got loads and loads of vitamins and minerals, but not very many calories. The reverse of that would be something like chocolate. Doesn't have very many vitamins and minerals, but it's super high in calories. Yeah, so nutritional density or nutrient density is a really good one. Neck apple cider vinegar, that's a bit of a joke. People think that apple cider vinegar is like a sort of panacea for doing all sorts of things. It's not. It's good for cleaning your windows, but that's about it really. It doesn't really have any particular health qualities as such on its own. You'll see people that talk about taking these things for acne and should use it topically and drink it. That nonsense. The other ones, but take roids. Well, steroids, yeah, possibly. I wouldn't say it's just to help you lose weight. In fact, quite the opposite will happen. I think it's a bit of a joke. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting. Is eat less. Eat less. What does eat less mean? This is the big problem, and you see this in tons and tons of advertising. Eat less. Okay. Eat less what? Eat less chocolate bars, eat less vegetables. Now, they're two really obvious examples that I'm giving you, right? Because you go, oh, that's stupid. Well, obviously, eat less chocolate and more vegetables. But what about if I said, eat less potatoes and eat more sweet potatoes? Or eat more kale and less cabbage? Or eat much less lettuce and eat way, way, way more corn? Would you know the answers to those? If so, why? What would your beliefs be based upon? So eat less is not a great strategy unless you know what you're doing. What I mean by that in a bit more detail, just to sort of summarize, because these are separate topics in their own right, I'll try and keep these videos down to sort of 15-20 minutes. Eat less, right? You could eat less, but are you talking about by number of calories, by weight, by volume? What are you talking about? So eating less could be, right? So if you were talking about by calories, it could be less could be 4 big baked potatoes, right, which is probably going to be 800 calories, yeah, or 2 chocolate bars. Now, less calories is the 4 baked potatoes, but 2 like king-size chocolate bars are far less in weight, so less what? We need to understand what we're talking about there. You see what I mean? So less actually is not necessarily the case. In many cases, actually you want to be eating more, but of the nutrient-dense food, because that's what fills your stomach up. Yeah. If I said you just eat baked potatoes and vegetables all the time, right, it might be a bit boring, but you're likely to lose weight because you're going to be full. How many baked potatoes can you realistically eat in a day? They're not very many. How many chocolate bars can you eat in a day? Sky's the limit. Yeah. As many as you can get your hands on, basically. Cut out sugar. This is one of these things that gets massively confused, and it's a whole topic in itself. And I've actually copied these, pasted them into use as separate topics. Cut out sugar, no, absolutely not. 100% no. Sugar occurs in all fruits and vegetables, right? It's very low in vegetables, but it's quite high in fruit. So cut out sugar, you're cutting out fruit. So would you suggest to somebody, don't eat apples, don't eat bananas, don't eat strawberries, don't eat blueberries, don't eat blackberries, don't eat papaya, watermelon? No. Cucumber. Don't eat cucumber. Well, cucumber's got sugar in it. What's really meant by this is cut out things with heavily refined sugars in. Chocolates, cakes, processed foods and the like, and particularly drinks as well, sugary drinks. So that's things like Tropicana orange juices, the other sorts of fruit juices that you can get, Coca-Cola, that sort of stuff, right? That's what it really means. But people get confused. Cut out alcohol, I would agree with. Alcohol is just... Personally, I don't drink, but for people who do drink, I think if you can really limit it, fine. But it does come with its own set of challenges. In that there's 3 problems with alcohol. One, it contains a lot of calories on its own, so and no fibre, so you don't feel full. Nobody has a glass of wine and goes, "Well, I feel very full now. I couldn't eat anything." Never happens. So one, you're getting the calorific intake from alcohol. The second one is you tend to make worse food choices after you've drank alcohol, and the third one is the day after drinking alcohol, you tend to make worse choices about food as well. Most people, after they've drank alcohol the next day, they tend to be less physically active and they tend to not eat so well. So there's 3 problems there. And there's another comment there: move more fast. Move more, again, is quantifying it. What does move more actually mean? Let's say you've got somebody who walks 10 steps a day and now they're walking 50. Is that going to make any difference? Nah, negligible, pointless. So we need to know what move more means, and so on. I think there was another bit on there which is try light nourishment, where you consume light instead of food. I'm not quite sure what that means. From a physics perspective, which is my background, I'm thinking, does it mean photosynthesize, which is where you get energy from sunlight? We don't do that. Plants do that. We are not particularly good at that. In fact, we're terrible. We can't do it. So I would avoid that. But there is something to be said. There's a lot of studies that show that people who spend more time outside in sunlight tend to be slimmer. Typically, the reason is because they're more active. It's just as straightforward as that. I don't think it's a direct relationship causation due to sunlight as such. But you do feel more energetic. No 2 ways about it. I'm sure you feel in the summer you feel more energetic and sprightly, but yeah, it's not directly. You're not getting energy from the sun. Great comment here. This is actually one of the 5 that I was going to talk about. Why after Christmas? Be sensible now. And this is the kicker to it, right? If you wait until after Christmas, you will have got yourself in such a deep groove of eating more and more and more and more of these processed foods and junk foods and sort of seasonally marketed stuff, that it becomes actually a huge change, almost like a paradigm shift after Christmas to do. So actually what you want to be doing is going, well, I'm not going to wait until after Christmas, but what I am going to do is perhaps enjoy myself on Christmas, maybe the day before, maybe the day after, right? But that's it. But what I'm not going to do is go, oh, it's all right, it's December, I'm just going to go screw it. And then January, no, that's a not good thing to be doing as such. It's just be active daily for 30 minutes, good, it's quantified, right? And those types of things. And then eat clean foods. Again, clean foods, what does that mean? We talk about foods that we've washed. There's a meme that kicks around, which is, somebody having a bar of chocolate and putting it under a tap to, is it clean? No, is this thing. Again, it needs definition. People struggle with these things. Another one here, consume less than you burn. Now, yeah, true, but how the frickin' hell do you know if you're consuming less than you burn? Apart from longer term weighing yourself, how would you know? And this is actually where it becomes difficult. It's completely right, but how do you know? There are lots of things that you can use, like Harris-Benedict's equation, to work out your basal metabolic rate and things like that. But realistically, very few people are going to be doing that, and it changes as well. It changes due to all sorts of reasons: hormones, seasons, what you've eaten, how you feel, there's your age, a myriad of factors. So it's good in theory. In application, more complicated. So you need to be careful. You can do it if you can track everything, but that's a bit of a hassle to do. That said, the more and more wearable technology that comes around, and these gimmicks and things like that, and so I say gimmicks, I don't necessarily mean gimmicks, but from an entertainment perspective, a lot of these are not particularly accurate. More and more of those things come out. They do create awareness, which I think is useful. So there's another one here, drink water, 100% agree. You find, this is ubiquitous, you find that the people who drink the most water typically, I say typically because it's almost exclusively, people who drink the most water are slimmest. They have the lowest amount of body fat. And this is something that we should be doing every single day. From the first thing that we wake up in the morning, we should be drinking water. That's what all other land mammals do. What makes us special? Nothing. Right, so that's an interesting thing on here. Somebody then put a comment to one of these product things, and I looked at it, I was like, it looks quite good initially, because I watched a sort of a trailer video, a couple of minutes long. It's one of these multi-level marketing things, and I'm usually very against them, but I'll always look at them. And it comes up with whole foods, and then plant-based, and organic, and these are ticking boxes here for me. I'm like, yeah, this seems pretty good. And I click through to the products, and it's like, oh man. And you know why? It's a load of powders in like tubs. Is that a realistic way to live the rest of your life, eating, like Soylent Green, all these types of things, or Huel or whatever? It's just not. What are you going to do? You go out for a meal once everything opens back up, and it's just, no, I don't want anything off the menu. I'm just going to have my powdered stuff and mix it with water. It's not realistic. A lot of what we do and when we eat is really coming down to social aspects, enjoyment of creation of food, consuming food, the presentation, the ambience we've got as well, sometimes even doing the washing up, right? If you start to get rid of all of those things, food no longer becomes a pleasure. It purely becomes functional, and really it doesn't really work particularly well. From an evolutionary stance, we are designed to seek out pleasurable foods. We really are. That goes against us in a lot of reasons, but it's not going to work. We go again, eat less, move more. Again, same sort of thing. Enjoy a proper Christmas dinner, eat wherever you want, and vacate your bowels afterwards. 3 or 4 pound weight loss instantly. Yeah, it's not actually. There's a lot in this. If you eat foods which are high in fibre, okay, so typically vegetables and certainly all plant foods, apart from the oils, you do, and actually you find the people that have the most solid bowel movements tend to weigh the least. So what you find in the Western world is most people don't poop enough, and it's actually really important. This is actually a really, really important point. It ties in very strongly with actually cases of things like colorectal and colon cancer. So actually, you want to be doing lots of big poos each day. 3 to 4 is actually perfect. 2 is good, but there's lots of studies about this stuff. What else is there? Eat exclusively organic vegan. Well, yeah, maybe, but that could be all sorts of things. I mean, you can get, organic vegan sausages, which are completely processed and made of all kinds of crap. So I don't really subscribe to that as such on its own. It sounds sensible. The other ones are saying, a couple of jokes on here about some MLM stuff, and that's fine. Carnival Diet, I don't know exactly what that is. I'm guessing it means purely just eat meat. I think you probably would lose weight doing that, but I think you'd probably become quite ill if you just ate meat. You'd certainly become bunged up, for lack of a better term. Keto, yes, but people need to understand what keto actually means. Most people have no idea what ketosis really actually is. They'll know it as a populist diet, but if you ask them what actually is ketosis and how long does it take your body to get into that state, most people have got no idea. And paleo as well, it has sense, but it's been popularized massively and confused, and these sorts of things. 7-day fast, yeah, you would lose weight, definitely, but you know what's going to happen in the next 7 days if you don't know how to do it? In the previous videos on fasting, what's going to happen? Yeah, you're going to gain a lot more weight than you lost. So that's not going to be a particularly good one. I think there was a couple more as well that I had on here just before I wrap up with this. Herbalife, I don't know why these things keep coming up. Drink loads of water, have good sleep. Sleep is massively important and way underrated. When you see people that are massively sleep deprived, you tend to find that they have weight problems typically, and it's usually because of stress. Cortisol levels are high, so that's really important. So it's not, and it is not just about sleep quantity, it's about sleep quality as well, i.e. going to bed drunk, for example, it doesn't work. Going to bed extremely stressed doesn't work. So things like this meditation and things like that are really important. I find it very, very difficult to meditate personally, but what I do find is useful is to listen to things like sometimes even Radio 4, which is just chilled out, relaxed, or Classic FM, these types of things, and just classical music, that sort of stuff actually is quite helpful. So that sort of stuff. What else have we got? There's 8 more of those, just quickly rattle through. Hypnotherapy, yeah, possibly. There's certainly a lot of underlying factors that people tell themselves these stories. Personally, a lot of this stuff when it comes to psychology is poorly understood and still punted because there's a lot of money involved in this stuff, but a lot of it is absolutely nonsense. It's one of these things that if we keep telling ourselves these stories, it's all because of XYZ event, well, we're going to keep believing it. That's complete nonsense. A very, very good book that explains this in detail is called The Body Keeps the Score, which explains a little bit about humans and the effect of trauma on humans, whereas animals don't really seem to suffer from it, and why that is, why other mammals don't seem to suffer from it. So it's quite interesting. With that, Another one, EFT, I think it's emotional freedom technique. That's another of these things that, you know, is not completely wrong, and I wouldn't discount it, but a lot of it is pseudoscience. I'm not saying it's wrong, but again, it comes back to the story we're telling ourselves, and it's not particularly wise. Another amputation, yes, if you have an amputation, you will lose weight. There's no two ways about that. Although that said, you do find some people who are paraplegic will gain a huge amount of weight due to inactivity. So it's not always the answer long term. Another one, increase your food knowledge, eat more better nutritious foods, drink more water, do more exercise, and get advice from an expert. Yes, true. However, these things do need to be quantified. Another one, amphetamine, yeah, 100%. You will lose weight. No two ways about that. Another one, I wouldn't recommend it, by the way, and it's probably not legal where you are. But that said, there are other things out there which will have the same sort of effect naturally. Exercise is the best example to increase your metabolism by far. Another one, eat less, do more. Again, it needs to be quantified. Go back to normal routine. Well, depends what your routine was before. Yeah, for a lot of people it was eating out twice a week. Now that's probably not going to help. So you know, be careful. And then we've got another one here as well. This is quite an interesting comment actually. This is a good, really good one actually. So eat more of the right things that your body needs. Yes, true, but we need to kind of define what those things are. Calorie deficits are the worst. They jack up hormones and decrease gut health and immunity. Yeah, actually, very true. When there is a big calorie deficit, it's really problematic. You can do it for short term, and that's fasting, right? When you basically just consume just water, which I covered in the last video. But when it's sort of it's a whole video in itself, gut health and microbiome and all these types of things, which I do like talking about, but yeah, problematic. Strategy plan, yes, super powerful with this, so you can stay on track. Keep consistently losing weight without giving up your favorite foods. And yeah, and that's true. And you know what, actually interesting, you may find that some other foods become your favorite foods. Then that's something which very few people actually think about. So yeah, there's another one. Quick and effective workouts. Yeah, I would agree. It's beach body. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm imagining it's probably one of those high intensity interval training type things. But it doesn't have to necessarily be quick and effective. Sometimes I'll go out on the bike and I'll go out just for an hour. It's just meandering around, just looking around at different places and seeing what's happening and things like that, you know. And that's okay too. So it's more just about simply increasing the level of activity. But that does work for fat burning quite quickly, but I wouldn't recommend it as a long-term strategy necessarily, unless you enjoy it. Most people do not necessarily enjoy it, but that's not wrong. And the other one here is don't do it alone. And I completely agree with that. Your environment is so important. If you're going to make changes to your diet, right, get the rest of your household on board with you, or at least tell them why you're doing it. Right? Let me give you an analogy here. Let's say you've got somebody in your household and they're an alcoholic, right? If they came and sat down with you all and said, you know what, I've got a real drink problem, I'd really like it if you don't drink alcohol around me, what would you say? What's the difference with food? Food addiction is the same. So think about that. So actually it's really important. Support mechanisms are massively important with this sort of thing. And this is why things like intelligent eating works. This is things why Slimming World and things like that do work in the short term as long as you keep going to the groups and so on, these sorts of things. But yeah, it is important. But there's still a lot of underlying factors that you need to cover. So really, I mean, to answer this, just kind of conclude, this is a bit longer than I thought. So 5 ways to lose weight after Christmas. Well, it's a bit of a joke in a way. The first one is start now. Start thinking about it now. Honestly, you've got less than a month, right? Yeah, so start on it now. Drinking more water, straight away, boom. Get some education about what is actually sensible and what isn't. Get a plan in place. Get some support mechanisms there, whatever they may be. Okay, and there's tons of them as well. And start pushing out your belief systems that you might have had before. Those sorts of things. There's a ton more of them as well. But anyway, have a look. Any questions you've got, just ask. I'm going to put this one actually in the group as well, I think, straight away. But for people who do want to see all the rest of the content, join the Patreon, I think. Why not? It's like it's cheap as like anything. It's good. The feedback I've been getting from is good. So there you go. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your evening. If you watch this evening, if it's during the day, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.